Hey everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello.
And we need to pass out the fact that Apex Legends, the new kind of Titanfall, has just landed, fully formed. Here you go, how's your father, whatever. And you can just go play it. It's a free-to-play battle royale game. But the thing that struck me as the most interesting part of this is the way that Respawn are just getting out there and addressing the potential negative backlash.
Which I love.
Before there even has been one.
It's so good. Like, they're the first party EA studio that I know to directly point out that EA kind of has a bad reputation.
Yeah.
And we want to avoid a lot of the things that have been associated with them, like kind of like greedy, monetary kind of like loot boxes, monetization methods, stuff like that. They've got out ahead of that message of being like, look, we'll let the game speak for itself, and then you guys can judge, rather than we give you this massive marketing push of, oh, it's going to be free to play, it's going to have cosmetic DLC, it's going to have loot boxes, it's going to be a grind. No, just
it's everything you hate.
It's everything you hate, but I promise it's really good.
So very quickly, because I have yet to talk, I've yet to play this thing. I was too busy at a gig screaming my guts out. But you did play it last night, so we can quickly drop into this. I'll get to some specific quotes, but it is worth addressing that there are still things like, as there are loot boxes in the game, there are cosmetic DLC, there are like 3 separate currencies to it. So there are like those kind of elements in the game, but by the sheer virtue of the way that they've approached it, where they've just said, here you go, it's fully formed, just explore it. When you jumped into it last night, did any of that stuff seem kind of egregious or over the top?
Well, here's the thing, not at the moment. I've only put a couple of hours into it, but I'm quite enjoying it. The sort of that side of it hasn't reared its ugly head yet. It may get to be more of a grind as we go on, but the key difference between this and something like Star Wars Battlefront 2 is that at the end of the day, this is free to play. And I don't think the free to play model is inherently bad. It's just inherently bad when it's shoved into a £60 fully formed product.
Yeah,
like
I think a lot of it as well is perception. Like we knew. I mean, like it's, like they're saying, like EA has a bit of a reputation, a hell of a reputation, and it's always that thing where you're going into a new game and you assume that they have their publisher tendrils completely locked in.
Yes.
And it is worth just quickly addressing the fact that EA like completely have purchased Respawn back in November 2017, and apparently Titanfall 3 was already in development then, according to Jason Schreier of Kotaku. But interestingly, they were already working on Apex Legends. That's another thing that Schreier put out, was that this battle royale game was already in the works after Titanfall 2, and all that EA did was obviously acquire the company. They didn't force it on them or whatever. Yes. But it does seem like Titanfall 3 has been folded into Apex Legends.
Yeah, that does sound like it. Like that Jason Schreier report from a while ago said they were working on Titanfall 3, but now they've come out and said that actually everyone thinks we were working on that, but really it was Apex Legends. That started apparently in the spring of 2017, where they were prototyping stuff after the release of Titanfall 2, which eventually became this, which I can kind of see like them doing that. I can see EA kind of pushing them in that direction in a way of being like, look, Battle Royale is going to be big, we kind of want something like that, can you do it? But what was very fascinating for me was when the people at Respawn were saying that the version of Battle Royale they took to EA was kind of not the one they were expecting. They didn't really know what they were actually getting.
There are some really great quotes. There's a massive write-up on Game Informer. The executive producer, Drew McCoy, he's the guy, the real McCoy. He's the guy that's just been out there, obvious joke, he's the guy that's been out there just being like the most honest guy, just talking about the reality of the game development and the reality of going up to EA's executives and just saying, look, this is the thing that we want to do. And I'll actually just read the quote. Respawn decided to make this game not to be throwing EA under the bus, but this wasn't the game that they were expecting. I had to go to executives, show it to them, and explain. And then he stops himself and he says, I had to go and explain, not to convince them, but more, hey, trust us, this is the thing that you want out of us. And he does hammer home that EA weren't involved whatsoever in the development side. Which was interesting.
Really, really interesting. I think that's the same response I had in a way, to be honest. I was logging into it last night and I was looking at it, I was like, oh my god, Respawn, a team who I love, have released a Battle Royale game, which is a subgenre I really do not like. And I jumped into it and it had the same menu as Destiny, you know, when you have like the kind of like little circle.
Mouse cursor
and you got
thing again.
I'm on a gamepad, I don't need the mouse cursor.
That.
But it had that and I was like, this is too many red flags in a row for me. But then I actually jumped into the game. And although it does have the tenets of Battle Royale, you are still kind of parachuting in. It is very team orientated. And different enough in a way where if I was EA, I would have kind of maybe been skeptical of being like, this isn't Battle Royale in the same way everyone else is doing it, but that really, really benefits Apex Legends in my opinion.
So another follow-up quote, just because he literally outlines it. He's like, as a corporation, EA can only quantify based on past data, and they've never done anything like this before, like Apex Legends, or like trusting a dev team entirely. I think that's what he's getting at with that. There's a giant rainbow question mark over revenue projections for this game, and EA are like, we don't know, we can't predict, but they had to say, this is a game where we had to say, this is what we want to do, help us get there. And so, like, yeah, it kind of points to maybe like a changing of the guard is the way that EA let their developers do stuff. Because one of the things that this made me think of was the way that Amy Hennig and Visceral were treated, where they literally had the same kind of boardroom meetings with EA, and EA's response when they pitched like a story-focused Star Wars game was, well, FIFA Ultimate Team makes millions a year, where's your version of that? That was their literal quote, where's your version of this? And they were just like, well, that's not at all what we're doing. So, you know, X, Y, Z. There's obviously a monetizable element to Apex Legends.
I suppose this is maybe an easier sell to EA because, I mean, Battle Royale is very lucrative at the moment and they want to chase that, and they don't have it currently in Battlefield 5 yet. That's coming in March, which that's going to be...
even existed.
They missed the boat on that completely, in my opinion. But yeah, this obviously is more appealing than probably a straightforward single-player Star Wars experience to them, so I can see why they'd be more willing to give them more creative control if it is that.
I do think as well, I mean, like, speaking of the Battlefield, it's just even, God, I forgot I forgot Battlefield 5 even happened, and 2, I forgot that the Battle Royale mode was delayed, and it is still delayed at this point. But that's the thing, EA clearly want to, you know, get a foot in the Battle Royale market, and they don't have a top-tier, like, you know, nigh on AAA shooter. In that respect, like, you know, they're kind of losing out ground to Call of Duty and Blackout, and this is like a very easy way to compare these two. Like, a lot of the like sort of fallout on Twitter has been people saying this immediately destroys Blackout because of the movement and stuff. So we can kind of pivot into like gameplay in general because you've like played a couple of hours.
Yes.
What were your initial thoughts in terms of comparisons to Blackout and Battle Royales in general?
Well, obviously the core shooting of Titanfall anyway played very similar to Call of Duty. After all, it's the Vince Zampella and God, the other guy. He's left now, I think.
Yeah,
he's gone. Yeah, so obviously
Jason
the core...
West.
Yes, that's it.
Jason
the core
West.
shooting is very similar, but it is completely different to Blackout in the way that it is so team-oriented. Like, it is entirely built around your 3-player squads, whether you're playing with friends or playing with other people, which, for me, was the clincher. I was jumping in, and I was actually kind of furious at first that we're not allowed to play alone, because obviously I don't want to play with people who I don't speak to on the mic.
Can you not play alone?
No, it's entirely team-based. No, here's the thing, Scott. Let me convince you, because this is actually really good. So you all stick together, all the classes, because it takes influence from sort of, you know, hero shooters. So all the classes are based around teamwork and helping your team out. So it feels way more cohesive and way more tactical to play with a team rather than Blackout or PUBG or anything like that, because it is entirely tailored around that experience rather than just giving you, like, I don't know, superpowers and letting you go on your own, which I think really, really benefits it and gives it an edge that other games don't have, and I think gives it kind of a longevity. There is not that sense of unpredictability that I hate about Battle Royale, that I might just drop down, get killed, have to start again. Like, I hate that. There is far more... There's
more to it.
There's more to it, yeah.
How's the respawn times if you do happen to die straight away? Is it still kick you back to the menu, load back in, or can you just go again?
This is the thing I love about it, right?
Oh, has it finally solved that problem?
Yeah, for me it has, because you can still revive downed enemies. And you can obviously kill other people so they can't get revived that way, but when you get killed, you leave behind a banner that your teammate can pick up. And if they pick up your banner, you can go to one of the many respawn points across the map.
And bring your dudes back.
Physically, like, bring them back into the fight, which is great because it adds that extra element of tension when you're running towards a respawn point. And the respawn points take actually about 10 seconds-ish. It's quite a while. It feels a long time when you're there and you're looking around for dudes. But like, that added element of being able to get back into the fight for me is way more compelling than, I guess I'm going to start a new game and do it from scratch.
That's a really good little innovative thing, because obviously they have the class powers and the way that they seem to mesh together. And if you've played Titanfall 2, which I totally recommend as literally the best first-person shooter of the generation.
Wow.
Oh god, it just is.
That is ridiculous.
It's not, no, that's a factual statement from a factual man, but if you look at the power set that's in Titanfall 2, like the grappling hook and the locomotion, the sliding, the kicking off the walls and stuff, I know they've removed the wall running from this. You can still run straight up to get like vantage points.
Yeah, you can kind of like jump up.
Yeah, but like in terms of like general locomotion, we've never had, so far, not seen a Battle Royale that plays this fast. And one of the biggest problems that I've always had with Battle Royale is that every time you have an encounter, I have a nice little encounter with someone, like trade some bullets, like maybe I win, maybe I don't. And then because I'm engaged in like assumedly the best part of a game engine, the combat, I just want to then go and play a multiplayer mode that lets me indulge in that stuff.
Yes.
And usually the only thing Battle Royale serves to do is remind you how good every other mode is. So how does it get around that?
That is exactly the problem I had with Blackout. When I was finally getting into fights on that Blackout mode, I was just like, well, I just want to play a team deathmatch. I thought I was going to have the same experience with not Titanfall, Apex Legends, because you have to do a rigorous training experience before you actually jump into a game. When I was shooting targets and stuff.
Tips and tricks the game does tell you.
The game does tell you.
Interesting. Puts me out of a job. But
when I was doing that, I thought, oh my god, I'm just going to want to play Titanfall 2 again. But when you're actually in the matches, the way you trade fire with people is far more compelling to me than other Battle Royale games, because you have the chance to like retreat and heal. You have the ability to trade blows. You have a surprising amount of health in the game. You have like armor and you have health, and you can, I think you start off, at least my class did, with 3 injection needle things that gives you your health back, so you can sort of scamper away and come back into the fight and like get a one-up on your enemy, which I really, really loved. It just made firefights seemed less based on luck or chance or whoever had a better gun than you, and more based on skill and things you can do. And I think that's why they've taken out the kind of like wall running and the Titans and stuff to make it more balanced. Because I think there was a quote, you might get to it, where they were talking about at one point they had triple jump in the game. Which sounds awesome, but they pointed out that if you've got someone triple jumping around and getting a kill on you, that's awesome if you're the dude doing the triple jumping, but it's just a mess like hell if you're on the receiving end of that.
One of the best things, it either came from Vince Sampella or it was Drew McCoy, said they had this great terminology that they use called combat legibility. They just sort of said that some of the best shooters, you need to think about, like, you know, like, it needs to be fair, and you need to sometimes be able to see where a player's gonna go to feel like you're getting good at the game and to understand animations and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, the combat needs to be legible, and sometimes when games go too overboard with their superpowers, it loses that legibility factor, and you kind of need that in something that's as intense as a Battle Royale.
This game, that word as a whole, that, like legible, is so, I don't know, it represents this game as a whole. They have this thing called like the ping system, where if you click R1 or the equivalent, you can kind of tag enemies, you can tag locations to go, you can tag armor, you can tag weapons, and then your character in the game will shout out like, oh, there's a gun over there that we should go to, or oh, we should check out this area. And it kind of feels like you're playing with AI in a way, but they're real people, so it negates if you don't have a headset, you don't like talking to people, you can still do this and kind of keep a cohesive plan with your team that I really love, because I hate talking to people, but I also love multiplayer shooters. It's a weird paradox, that, man. It's
incredibly promising based on what's there, and like the fact that they've got a really good, independent and confident developer that seem to be able to stand toe-to-toe with the sorts of like executive boards and conversations that have really undone other developers. You know, obviously it's not their fault, but it seems that EA put their foot down in ways that they haven't with this. And just, yeah, it seems incredibly promising. So, I mean, you guys all go check it out. It's free to play, and we'll do the same. And hopefully we'll have some tips and tricks or something that I can figure out to talk about with this game. But let us know what you think down in the comments if you've been playing it yourself. I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye.